For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is the second day of February 2022, right here in the Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. And remember, the life you save may be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. And personally, and from the rest of my family, I'd like to wish my sister, my eldest sister, Anna Smith, a happy birthday today. February the 2nd is her birthday. Also, belated happy birthday to former colleague, Mr. Garfield Wong, or some of you may know him as Gary Wong. He celebrated a birthday yesterday as well, so belated happy birthday to him also. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility, we wish you a speedy recovery. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261. And, of course, follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. We also have another belated birthday greetings to go out. Minister and Member of Parliament, Mr. Bernie Bush. They're sending out belated happy birthday to him. He celebrated his birthday yesterday, and these belated birthday wishes are coming from the Cayman Islands High School class of 81. So, belated happy birthday to Minister Bernie Bush as well. I have some government news releases and things of that nature, I will share them with you later on because we already have the phones ringing off the hook. So we're going to take those callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. OC already know I'm the first one. So.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Okay, I'm good, thanks.
Did you get on to the doc? Will he be with you today or no?
No, the opposition will be on after the 8 o'clock news this morning, and they will be here until 9:30. So I'm looking to have Doc on for Friday, but I do have another guest booked for Friday as well. Yeah. So it's going to be a shared show on Friday.
I have an issue I wanted to talk about, but I'll do that on Friday. Then I like to do it with both of you on. But I wanted for you to send out belated birthday greetings to Miss Ina Connor of East End, who was 103 yesterday.
Miss Ina Connor? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I give you a little bit about her. She was the nanny for Miss Kerry Bush, who's the Speaker's wife back in the day.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now imagine from all the way East End to all the way West Bay back in the day.
Yeah, I would imagine she probably would have stayed down there during the week and then maybe go home on weekends or something like that.
Yeah. I think that was the way it were. And then her brother was also like a major person with her father, who was Captain Ali, who is the statue in the Hero Square with the little boy at the wheel. Her brother was a major player with him in the Mosquito Key areas.
Okay. Yeah. So Miss Ina, some of her children would be who
grade A.
Okay.
Grade A. Lowell that works at CUC, and Bradford Connor would be her stepson.
Okay.
And Dorley. They would all be her stepchildren by their father, first wife.
Okay.
And I think Oswald would have to call her auntie. Oswald Rankin would have to call Miss Ina aunt. Oswald Lomax and those guys would have to call her aunt. Yeah.
Excellent.
And I think she was also sister to Oliver's mother.
Okay.
That passed, Miss Venetia.
Okay. Well, we want to really wish her a happy birthday. And how young she is? You said?
103.
103 years of age.
You imagine 103 years ago.
Yeah.
What were they doing?
Yes.
At that particular time.
Yes.
You imagine the hardship that they went through.
Yes. Yeah.
Now people come here and complain and tell us a whole bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
All right, that's another time we got to talk about that.
All right.
We talk
take
later.
care.
All right, bye.
Let's grab another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, OC.
Hey, morning, Doc. How are you?
Good. I wanted to wish Gary Wong also a happy birthday. And
yes, his was yesterday.
Yeah, well, anyway, so it's belated birthday.
Yep.
Yeah, and also Graham is always very keen on the history, the genealogy, and that's great that people have that particular kind of reference. I wanted to just say with regards to the whole question of the development and the balance in the Cayman Islands and having an overview of the situation, as I've been back here 40 years, since 45 years since 1977. And one of the things that, I really look at is the unbalanced way in which capital itself is able to direct the entire development. So that means that people have to be aware of the importance of consciousness in balancing between against unknown economic factors or consequences. This is where social consciousness and actual this whole idea of social justice actually comes into play. When we're talking about social justice and real opportunities for people, we're not just talking about people being able to look and see things that are physical without being able to touch them or to be able to have access to them. We're talking about people actually being involved, being a part of the development. And we know a lot of times when some people might think that I'm just criticizing individuals or individual governments, I'm talking about the way in which the system is run without any persistent regards to the fact that the role of government is to balance.
Mm.
And keeping that balance is not very easy in a democratic society where you have conflicting interests. But it is the role of government to try at least as much as possible to get people to understand the importance of reason in terms of how we develop and manage the different social ecologies in our society. Now, what I find is when I look at the economic reports in terms of real estate development and the magnitude of the changes over, say, the last 45 years, and that in relationship to the way in which the actual indigenous Caymanians have developed. And we look at the percentages of those Caymanians that have fallen behind because they have not been able to compete with the influx of capital, which could mean that in terms of consumption, that they feel secure, but in terms of the accumulation of capital and ownership, the balance is just incredible, it's perceivable, and it should be recognizable by any government that is in power.
Mm-hmm.
The real balance of power in a society has to do with productive capital and not to do with consumption. So if the Caymanians are only feeling good because they're consuming, they have houses with mortgages and cars with mortgages, and their kids are going to school, that's fine on one level. But if you have people who are coming in who you owning the real estate, owning the other productive sort of aspects of the society, then there's going to be an inequality in terms of how power is eventually balanced in this country. And so even when we have programs that are trying to balance by, say, we're going to build 100 homes a year or whatever that is, we see at the same time that prices are escalating continuously in terms of building material, in terms of school uniform, in terms of what we need in our daily lives to exist. So that is part of the riddle. I mean, I have no answer for it. I always caution people that they need to be aware of it, because we've seen this kind of rapid development in other countries like Bahamas and different places like this, and we know what the result of it is at the end of it. Mm-hmm. Social frustration on one part, because people can visibly see that the people who are benefiting most, the people who have most, don't look like them. So these are issues that people need to be able to consider. Okay. And if we're not able to consider them, those issues ourselves, this should be part of what the British Ministry for.
Yeah. Dr. Frank, I have about one more minute before I go to commercial break, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to wrap up.
Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is that we need more heads to be put at the table,
mm-hmm.
able to pay serious attention to this. And there's no point in people pretending that these issues are not important when we see that internationally these are the issues that are causing the conflict. The great country of America is in conflict today, then nobody thought that democracy would have any challenges, and it has the greatest challenges of any democracy in the world.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Doc. Take care. You have a great day, folks. I believe we do have another caller on hold. We will take that caller as soon as we return from the commercial break. So, folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
William Banker Ebanks, 1882-1979. William Banker Ebanks was a seaman, steward, farmer, and carpenter, specializing in boat building, roofing, cisterns, coffins, and wood finish, as well as detail work. He sharpened tools with a specialty in saw repairs. He built the schoolhouse on the hill in Bosun Bay, West Bay, and was a member of its council. He also built the first Chapel Church of God on Town Hall Road, West Bay. He assisted with the construction of the West Bay Town Hall. He was the only dentist in the district for many years. Mr. Ebanks was a caring man who helped and shared with those who were less fortunate. He and his wife, Christabella Nee Parsons, had 7 children.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean, and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're going straight to the phone lines because this caller has been waiting for quite a while. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Thanks for being so patient.
Hello, good morning, O.C.
Good morning.
Hope all is well.
Thank you. All is well with me, and I trust all is well with you as well.
Fine, thanks. All is well. I would like to. I got two things I will get. I want send some birthday greetings out because, of course, we missed you yesterday. It was so great. You should have been on. It should have been Wednesday yesterday.
Yes. A lot of people had birthdays yesterday. Yep.
Okay, I want to send out birthday greetings to my daughter Shira Goff.
Okay.
We got Mr. Gira Wong, who also keeps the same birthday. Yep. And we also want to send Mr. Tony Powell from West Bay and Mr. Bernard Bush, who also keeps the same birthday. They all sounds like musketeers because they're Bernie, my daughter, and Tony Powell and Gira Wong almost looks like hunchback bunnies, all big and fat and clumsy. So they're all
You said that, not me.
I tell them all the time. I tell them they all look like walking bunnies or penguins. Because my daughter's fat and everyone is fat, right? And Bernie is all catching up on him very, very good. Bernie's doing a good job of catching up with him. I think he's a bit jealous of them being a little fatter than him.
But you know, there are some communities where being fat is seen as the fact that you're that you're productive, but you're also blessed, by being fat. Some of those Pacific nations and stuff like that. If you're really skinny, they look askance at you as opposed to being fat. So nothing wrong with being fat.
I was just giving them the little joke of being fat because my daughter always says, she laughs, and my uncle used to say, well, one thing about him, he'd rather be fat. He said a fat corpse looks as good as a skinny corpse. So he don't mind being fat. He said, you don't know how long the journey going to be, so you need to have plenty on your stomach. So you don't know when you leave this one how long you'll be for the next one, so you have plenty of food to carry it.
Yes.
So we want to wish them all happy birthday today. May live to see many more, and hope they had a good one.
Yeah. And I believe Miss Yulita Flores celebrates a birthday too. I believe it was yesterday. I wanted to mention it, but I wasn't sure what day it was. But whatever day it was, belated happy birthday to Miss Yulita Flores as well. Yes.
Yeah. And back on the topic, I didn't get through. I tried to get through on Monday to you mentioned Kenneth Bryan, but he wasn't taking in the calls from what I could understand.
Yeah, because it was a short segment. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what the purpose was. I didn't know, but when I came in, I just heard him, and I wanted to give him the message. But I would like to get this message across to him and regarding the tourism. We hope that he had a productive meeting yesterday, as we heard he was having a meeting yesterday with the FCCA.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope he managed to get through some headways. But I had put it on Dwayne's show the same day on Monday, so I don't. Maybe he listened as well. He might not. Regarding the cruise lines, we need to negotiate some prices with the cruise lines, and we need to set some price ranges for these companies, these local companies, to operate, because they're who are killing one another, because they're destroying Stingray City, which is our highest value market out there. I mean, if you compare Stingray City to Busch Gardens, we're number one as far as I'm concerned. Not because of us, but I mean, we got more out there. And number two, we also need to look into the immigration part of it, where we have their employees off the cruise line coming ashore on our shoreline and being able to work without a work permit. Now, I had first-hand experience with it, so I can tell you that it happens.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I was, just before we had shut down, we had one of the employees from the Carnival Cruise Line was going on one of our boat tours. And we did the island part of it, and then we did the boat. When I seen her when she came on board, on my bus, she was in my bus. And when she came with all this photographer and equipment, the whole works.
Mm-hmm.
So she was going. So when we got to the boat, she started to tell the people in the bus that she would be the photographer on board the boat. Or only, like, she will take the pictures of the people, and then they can buy them back on the ship when they get back. Look at this.
Yes.
You know, I wasn't rude to her. I didn't interrupt her there. But when I got to the dock, I pulled her one side, and I told her, I'm saying, Ma'am, I'm sorry, I don't know who informed you that you can be the photographer on this tour. I said, because I have a paid photographer who I have on my boat, who I have to pay as an employee. And in the Cayman Islands, you have to have a work permit in order to be able to operate. Mm-hmm. And I don't know anybody that changed it. And I said, I'm sorry. I said, if you want to go on this tour, you would have to leave your camera with me, because you're not going to be able to take I'm not going to take the chance that you can tell me that you're not going to use your camera. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I said, you're going to leave your camera on my car, which I am your tour guide. I will make sure your camera is secured, or I will take you back to the ship. I said, because you're not going to be no photographer on my boat.
Kudos to you. I told the guest, I said, I'm sorry, I do not know what kind of information Carnival Cruise Line gave you, but I said, we have a work permit in the Cayman Islands where, you know, or you didn't take out a business license. If you did, I don't know anything about Carnival having no business license in Grand Cayman, but definitely the woman didn't have no work permit with me. And she gave me her camera. I left in the car, and she went. Her told me she came back. She had a good time. And I told her. She said, but when she go back to Carnival Cruise Line, she got to tell them what I told her. I said, well, that's what you need to do. Please tell her. I said, I will give you my name and everything, and you can tell them they can call me. Cause I said, did you ever get any feedback? Did you ever get any feedback about it?
Not a word. Not a word.
Kudos to you.
An immigration officer, and they told me that the government of yesterday, I guess we can't say this government, the government of before, I don't know which previous government it was, had given Carnival an agreement that their employees could come on our shoreline and did not have to get a work permit. Now, if I am picked up with an employee that needs a work permit that is not from this country, and I pick them up and carry them on a job site and they are arrested, I will be charged. So I do not know why we can make such agreements with a cruise line that is carrying away all more than 75% of its profit to be able to negotiate to cut the poor Caymanians out of business. I told them, sorry, I don't care who they is, but they're not breaking me. They're not coming on my boat.
Now, was she a paying customer of yours as well? Was she counted as one, or she was supposed to be there for free?
She rode the bus for free.
Wow. And no one said anything to you. I am glad. I'm so happy that you stood up to them. And obviously, the mere fact that she relented and agreed to leave her camera behind, to me, that points to the fact that they knew that something was amiss, that they weren't doing something right.
Yes. When she left the camera with me, I told her she couldn't go. I told her I would carry her, rest the guests on the boat as they and I even told them that they couldn't use their own phone, but I told them definitely she was not going to be the photographer, because what she would do, cutting her business from my
exactly,
yes, And I told her it was not happening, and she left it with me. And when I picked her up, she had a good time, but she told me she would go back to a Carnival Cruise, and I told her, go right ahead. She put it on BBC News. I didn't really care.
Kudos to you. Kudos.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you take care. Take care. 1 minute before we go to the news, I just want to say that we have some releases. The governor, deputy governor, you would have heard that on Radio Cayman's news. I was sitting down earlier trying to, this whole debacle with the Office of the Auditor General's report, and I'm trying to figure out, should we name it Hong Kong Gate, Brussels Gate, Washington Gate, Dubai Gate, or what? I'm going to call it Overseas Gate. You know, Watergate, Overseas Gate, Partygate in the UK, because this is something big. I'm not talking a whole lot about it yet because the document has not been made official. I want to comment about CNS as well, making that a public document. Yes, there may be public interest concerns and issues there. My question, as far as CNS is concerned, would be, did they, while they did question and ask the Deputy Governor's office and the Governor's office for a copy of it and did make a Freedom of Information request, After they received that document, did they inform the deputy governor's office? Did they inform the governor's office and say, we now have a copy of this, and letting them know? Because maybe the office would have asked them to hold off until we finish our report. Now, there are questions circulating as to whether or not the report would have ever been released to the public. But there's lots to be discussed about this. I can only say one thing, that what may overshadow this would be if the Privy Council issues their ruling in relation to the civil partnerships and same-sex marriages in the Cayman Islands. That may occupy the conversation. But until then, this is going to be the conversation in the Cayman Islands, because it has huge, huge implications for the governor, for the deputy governor, for the chief officers, for the politicians as well. So we have lots to talk about, maybe not today, but we will be talking about them. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
Looking for better buys and better selection? You'll find it all at Foster's.
This week's specials catalog is full of better buys. Just like Florida Natural Orange Juice, 52 ounces, only $3.99. Save $3.
And you'll also find better selection like keto ice cream. 1 pint, just $5.99. Save $2.40.
With over 70 specials in our catalog, it's easy to save big in-store at Foster's and online with Foster's Go.
Foster's. Better prices because we care.
Price is good until February 9th, 2022. Find more specials at fosters.ky.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Public Health releases COVID-19 figures for the 28th, 29th, and 30th of January. On Friday, there were 222 positives, 216 on Saturday, and an estimated 132 for January 30th. Active cases and hospitalizations were not available at press time but are expected later today. The Sister Islands also noted 3 new cases since the last report for a total of 68 active cases. Now in its 5th year, the annual Youth Mental Health Symposium, streaming live on Facebook on February 19th, will offer a platform to connect young people and their families with the practitioners, researchers, and policymakers committed to creating lasting change for the youth mental health sector. This year's theme is Thriving in Uncertain Times. Due to COVID-19 suppression measures, the in-person event will be invite-only. However, the full event will be streamed online at the Alex Panton Facebook page starting at 10 a.m. A number of topics will be covered throughout the day, including planning to thrive in uncertain times, accepting life's punches and building resiliency, youth voice discussions, and a presentation on LGBTQ research data. The National Culture Foundation is hosting its annual Dress for Culture Day on March 9th this year. You're invited to represent one of the more than 135 nationalities here in Cayman while raising funds for the National Cultural Foundation's programming. As part of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations this year of Her Majesty the Queen, CNCF is also including the theme of Majesty as an option in its DFC celebrations. Prizes will be awarded for the best photos, the ones with the most likes in 3 categories: company, organization, school, and individual. If you are an organization, business, or school interested in participating, you can head to artscayman.org/KFest for more information. In regional news, Crystal Cruises said Tuesday that a second of its ships diverted to the Bahamas avoided a United States' judge order to seize one of its vessels in a legal dispute over fuel bills. The Crystal Serenity arrived in Bimini Monday after the ship was denied entry into Aruba on Friday. All passengers were transferred by a fast ferry to Port Everglades and taken to Fort Lauderdale's hotel on Monday night, and the passengers will be reimbursed for any applicable airline fees, according to the spokesperson for the cruise line. The company's statement says, quote, "There are simply no words to express our deep regret and disappointment. The arrest warrant for the ships are part of a lawsuit accusing the cruise line of failing to pay $4.6 million in fuel charges." Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Students have been returning to public universities in Afghanistan for the first time since the Taliban seized power last year. Women and men are being strictly segregated. All secondary schools for girls remain closed. Tonga is closing its borders and imposing a lockdown after recording 5 coronavirus infections. No boats will be allowed between islands in the Pacific nation and domestic flights will be suspended. The infections are a setback to a nation recovering from last month's volcanic eruption and tsunami. Officials in the Democratic Republic of Congo say more than 50 people have been killed in an attack in the northeast of the country. Men armed with guns and knives raided a camp for the displaced in Ituri province. At least 26 people have been electrocuted in the Congolese capital Kinshasa after a high-voltage cable snapped during a heavy downpour. Officials say the cable fell into a gutter full of water through which the electric charge was conducted. The US has called on Israel to hold a thorough criminal investigation into the death of an elderly Palestinian-American man after he was detained by Israeli soldiers. Omar Assad, who is 78, was dragged from a car, blindfolded, and his hands were bound after he was stopped at a checkpoint in his village in the West Bank. A court in Hungary has ruled that a government ministry exceeded its authority by barring independent media from access to hospitals and doctors during the pandemic. The government had said the ban was justified on health grounds. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
How can you take your business from good to great and thrive in the new normal? By finding the smartest, most powerful IT solutions to optimize your business operations. And now, Digicel Business Hub is making it simple for you. High-speed Wi-Fi, mobile and office phones, IT security, Microsoft Office with Teams, and much more. Everything your business needs to level up in the new normal. Get world-class IT for your business with Digicel Business Hub. Sign up today. Call us on 623-2499 or visit our website www.digicelbusiness.com for more information.
As seniors, we owe it to each other to stay safe and healthy through this pandemic. Let's make sure that our COVID-19 vaccinations are up to date, including getting boosters, and be aware of your surroundings so that we can manage the conditions that make us more vulnerable. Remember, we're in this together. So do your part. Get boosted. You can visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus to learn some more.
A pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 75 degrees. Relative humidity is 89%. The barometric pressure is 29.95 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 7 knots. Overnight low temperature was 71 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate southeasterly winds and moderate seas are expected over the next few days due to a weakening pressure gradient over the northwest Caribbean. Isolated showers are also expected today as a shear line drifts across the area. Satellite images show patches of low-level to mid-level clouds over the Cayman area, moving towards the west. Now, the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will rise to the low 80s. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the low 70s tonight. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 10:44, low tide this evening at 5, and a high tide again tonight at 10:48. The sun will set this evening at 6:18 and will rise tomorrow morning at 7. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Saturday morning.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Busy traffic coming from the east on Shamrock Road and the Linford-Pearson Highway, and also coming off the Linford-Pearson Highway on Agnes Way. Traffic busy on Cool Road heading to Georgetown. Eastbound traffic moving on moderately on Cool Road. West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moving on moderately as well, and traffic flowing at a good pace on Shedden Road. Light to moderate traffic flow on Edward Street. Huldah Avenue steady traffic. As we look to Boyd and Roberts Drive, traffic is moving on pretty good. And on North Sound Road, traffic moving on swiftly at about moderate level. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report. Click it or ticket.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me now Honorable Roy McTaggart, Leader of the Opposition and Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hew. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to the wider Cayman Islands. Pleasure to be back with you once again, and a beautiful day outside. But here until for at least the next hour and 15 minutes with you, because we do have to. We do have to leave a bit early this morning, right at 9:30.
Understood.
And so thank you again for hosting us. Over to my deputy.
Sure.
Good morning, OC. Good morning to everyone here at Radio Cayman, and good morning to all of you out there listening in with us this morning. Pleasure to be here on this beautiful, cool Wednesday morning. And look forward to, as usual, an informative and productive show.
Okay. And you would have heard my comments just before we went to the news in relation to the Auditor General's report. And it's up to you if you want to talk about it or mention it. I'm not going to do so out of respect for the fact that while it is out in the public domain, it has not officially been made a public document. And, not more out of an abundance of caution, but in terms of proper protocols, while I have read the report, I am really not going to get into discussions, about its contents at this point in time. But that's my personal viewpoint. So, Chapman, over to you, starting with you, Mr. Leader.
And thank you too, O.C. I'm glad you raised that. And what I would begin by saying too is that we're with you on that. We have noted the stories in the press regarding the report of the Auditor General. We understand too that the document is now in public domain, that it was released by CNS. It's on their website, in their where they keep their documents. I have to say I have not seen it, but we'll be looking at it later today. And, we're eager as well as anyone else to understand and have the full facts and to have them be made known publicly. But in the interim, we will respect the request of the governor and the deputy governor in that this is an ongoing investigation, and that needs to be completely completed. And so we too will refrain from discussing the matter. So we will respect that process. I would just include, encourage the speedy and quick completion of that investigation or inquiry, so that the matter can be put to bed, and look forward to the official release of the document. But as it is right now, we're just not in a position to make any comments, and will not be doing so today.
Right. Okay. Mr. Hew?
Yep, no, I concur with the leader there. I think it is only, and in particular, they unfortunately, as we were discussing earlier, there were names called that from my review of the report this morning, those names are never published in that report. You can speculate, but I think I agree, and I'm disappointed that the report has gone public despite the governor and the deputy governor's plea in their press releases yesterday on the matter, and it's a report that was commissioned by them, and I feel that they should have the opportunity to proper address it when it does become public, when they release it, I should say.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what else are we going to talk about this morning? What's on the agenda?
Well, we can pick up again with, where we left off at our last discussion with regard to the government's proposed $400 million 30-year bond. Because last time we were here, I spoke about our surprise, really, the opposition surprise, to see the Compass News article so early in January of government's intent and a notice that was issued on the 30th of December that government was considering issuing such a bond, especially coming on the heels of, so quickly on the heels of the conclusion of Finance Committee, where nothing had been actually mentioned by the government on their thinking. So it really was a surprise to us. I think it took the whole country by surprise as well. So we sort of raised the alarm bell at very early stages here. And since that time, the finance minister has released two statements. I think first being that because the first statement only served to give the country much concern it does raise some serious concerns. I mean, I know I received a number of messages and had discussions with people from primarily the private sector and the financial services industry and others as well, that expressed in deep concern over what was being proposed, especially in the absence of any real information at the time regarding the whole purpose for it and why were we going down that route, especially looking and borrowing money for 30 years. And I do have a further statement I think is coming out today as well. And really my beef is, OC, with the whole thing is not with government's ability to do it. They can do it. I mean, they can do what they want to do and borrow to achieve their objectives. What I really object to is going down the road of a bullet bond and for the express tenor of 30 years. That's just unnecessary in my view, and I don't think the case has been made publicly for a 30-year bond. I keep looking at this and saying, what am I missing? What am I missing? that we need to go and borrow money for 30 years.
Mm-hmm. The previous bullet bond that
was
we
10
had
years.
That was 10?
It was 10 years. I give a couple of examples because there have been recent bonds issued in the region as well. The first one really was that mentioned is Bermuda. Bermuda did a refinancing of existing debt, and they also did of existing debt, also some fresh borrowing in that. The total amount of their borrowings was right at around $1.3 billion. Mm-hmm. One half of that was for $650 million, I think, was for a 30-year period, and the other remainder was for 10 years. Now, Bermuda is a different case from the Cayman Islands. Bermuda has a major issue with their indebtedness. For a country that size, roughly the same size as Cayman, economy roughly the same size, their external debt is well over $2 billion. And what I have read,
and that's U.S. dollars.
That's U.S. dollars. So their debt service covers about 13, or is between 13 and 14% of their spending is going to debt servicing, which is a pretty scary figure, because that really then starts to impinge upon their ability to deliver services when you have such a massive debt service that you have to meet every year. Mm-hmm. So that was one. They did that in 2020, and the interest rate on it was 3.375%, and which again is more than the line of credit that we put in place, where the interest rate was 3.25%. I think it is fixed for a 15-year period of that if we do draw it down. The other one too was Barbados. I mean, they refinanced a whole bunch of their debt as well, but they never went for anything near 30 years, even though they have an exceedingly high debt burden as well. Given our situation, debt service ratio is less than 5%. We have so much leeway, but again, you have to be very careful as well, because you have some triggers there. In terms of the debt service that we need to comply with, but I mean, we do have leeway in our numbers right now to be able to accomplish a lot, and I don't think I just can't see for the life of me put my head around a 30-year bullet bond why that is absolutely necessary, and I do not believe at this time that the government have made that case clearly to the public.
Mm-hmm. So, does the fact that both Bermuda and Barbados, the two jurisdictions that you have mentioned, that part of their revenue stream comes from taxes,
yes,
either payroll or income taxes?
Yes.
Well.
Barbados has an income tax. Bermuda does have a payroll tax.
Yeah.
And so I mean, those are some of the things that you do look at as well in terms of evaluating, the interest rate as well on these types of issues as well. You have to look at what are the revenue streams that are going to be funding those payments, or the interest or the principal at some point in time. And these things are certainly considerations that you have to look at.
Mm-hmm. Now, while we're on the issue of finances, and if we could talk a little bit about the banking industry and the small the person who dealing with savings and maybe living paycheck to paycheck. We're hearing more and more complaints about financial institutions, the fees that they are charging, some of the services that they're not necessarily wanting to provide. We saw similar things happening in Jamaica. There was a public outcry. There was a political outcry as well. And we now see some financial institutions in Jamaica delaying for an additional 6 months some of the policies that they have in place. But people here in the Cayman Islands are screaming bloody hell, as well in relation to some of the fees and some of the actions of financial institutions. Do you have any viewpoint on those?
I do have a lot of personal views on those. We'll see, and yeah, it is. I mean, I know that a lot of there's first of all, there's not only the fees, but there's also a lot more red tape. When it comes to, in particular, our elderly receiving their pensions. My office now spends a lot of time assisting people opening bank accounts because you can no longer, even the government check that they receive drawn on the government's bank, they can't go there and cash it because they don't have a bank account.
Yes.
And then on top of that, when you do cash it, you get charged $5, some places $10. This is not right. And even from a business perspective, and if you take from the government's perspective, they're paying for each check that they write. So the government is charging the issuer of the check. The bank is charging the issuer of the check for each check they write. You buy the checkbook, or in instances, and then they're charging the payee again to cash the check. So they're getting paid on both ends of it. And when someone is receiving, a $900 pension or receiving a stipend in these cases now during the COVID, taking $5 and $10 out of that is huge. In today's world, that's a chicken, at the supermarket. So I do have issues and with it, even some of the banks now are going to online. They're going to, closing down their physical space, yes. and everybody has to learn to use the chaos banking, but you still get charged for every transaction there as well. Yeah. So it's you're caught in a position where you have to use banks, and then when you do use the banks, you're being charged for they're putting the onus on you and creating more inconveniences for you, but then you have to pay for those. That's that's the way we look at it from on the streets, and it has been a hot topic. It was a hot topic for us when we were in the government, and it certainly is a relevant issue and a hot topic locally here now.
Now the Cayman Islands government does quite a bit of business with our local banks here. They have various accounts. Could the government, as far as at least government-issued checks, is there any way for the government to use their clout, at least with those institutions, those financial institutions that they have a business relationship with, to at least ease the pressure on those persons who are seeking to cash a check that has been issued by the Cayman Islands government?
I would say certainly the opportunity is there. Clearly it is. When I was minister, I had discussions directly with the banks about this issue, and their response at the time, particularly with our government's bankers, who everyone knows the Royal Bank, with regard to the fees that they were charging our clients and everything to clear their checks, they responded by giving, I think it was a 3-month period in which they waived all of those fees. Okay, thanks, but that doesn't solve the issue.
Yes.
But so I was really disappointed, really, in the response that I got, and so I did have discussions with my colleagues in the caucus as well, and we had agreed late last year that we would go ahead and seek to put government's banking services out to tender to see what could be done with regard to it. But going back to the whole issue as well of the we never got around to getting it done for once, so I understand where that ended with the early election. But anyway, it you have seen over the years the banks take on and adding more and more fees onto persons' bank accounts. They're charging you for literally every interaction that they have with you, and it's unfortunate because general public don't really have real means to respond to that. If they're going to find it the same, they can pull your bank account and go elsewhere because you can find the same fees everywhere. So it is proving challenges. What I think there is a role for SEMA to play here in terms of looking into the fees charged by the banks and to make determinations as to whether they are excessive or not. I'll share you a real life example. It's a personal one to me because I do have a small company, and that company has $1 savings account, and the fees I paid to the bank every year. At the most, I have 3 or 4 transactions a year, no more. 4 would be plenty, so I can count it on one hand. But I pay over $300 in banking fees, compliance fees, internet access fees. It's crazy. I mean, I can't imagine anyone else. If I'm seeing that, what about, what are others seeing? So that's just a real life example of what we face and are facing. And so it's something I think needs to be looked at and tried to address. We need a little bit more cooperation here, I think, from our commercial banks. I understand that, their need and their need to satisfy their shareholders in terms of profits and returns. But and I understand and I know that their margins are compressed in this low interest rate environment. And so they're not able to make the spreads that they were making, in better times. So, but there still needs to be a balance. And right now, the whole industry it's weighted and it's stuck over in the corner of our banking institutions, or the consumers are the ones paying a heavy price right now for some of these things.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it bears looking into.
Yeah, we're going to take a commercial break. Before I go to that break, I just want to say that if those persons who may be interested in this subject, there's an article in the Jamaica Gleaner, Sunday's Gleaner, January 30th, and it is entitled New Push for Open Banking. And CAPRI, and I'll tell you what those acronyms stand for, the Caribbean Policy Research Institute. They find that large banks are uninterested in vulnerable clients. Their study has found that as well, that the vulnerable clients, large banks have no interest whatsoever in them. And we wonder whether or not that is what's happening in the Cayman Islands as well. I'll try to share more of this article at some point in time with you as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record with the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader MP, Mr. Joe Hew. We'll continue after this short commercial break.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader, MP, Mr. Hew. We do have one caller. Let's grab that caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C. Good morning. Back again, Mr. Roy McTaggart and Joey Hew.
Good morning.
Morning. It's a very important topic you guys are on there. SEMA had me to step in a long time ago. But can you tell me by chance if the lady that was visiting from the FCO office in the UK, is she still here or she's gone?
I've lost my mic. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, okay, I'm now back on. So, yeah, my understanding is that caller that she left on Saturday afternoon. So she's no longer here.
Oh, well, I hope that her visit to the Cayman Islands was a very productive one for Caymanians, because as we can hear, Caymanians is the one that is getting destroyed, or this racket that's going on. And I hope she didn't just come to Cayman just to pick up her package now and carry back up to the UK as they always do. That's what, no one never done nothing else besides that. And we need to do something with these bank rackets, because if I get a check from a particular bank, just if I get a check from Cayman National Bank, but I don't have an account at Cayman National Bank, I go to Cayman National Bank to cash that check. I got paid $10. I think the fees are going up to $10 to cash that check, who is now belongs to, but the check is belongs to Roy McTaggart, who has an account at Cayman National Bank. So why should Roy McTaggart got pay a fee to cash the check? I got to run pay a fee. That is stealing, as far as I'm concerned. That is stealing. I mean, how is poor people going to keep up with this? If you're supposed to pay a bill for $100 and you go and get a check for $101 and you got to take $10 of that, you can't pay a $100 bill. So, I mean, the poor people are, and that's just not just a government check. That's public, personal checks that are being cashed. I mean, most people are paying cash now, or checks are now, because a lot of the crime that are going on, people don't want to run up and down with cash, and a lot of people would rather have checks so they can trace where their money gone, so they don't have this load of excess money on them, spending on what they don't have, because their economies are very down. So people are budgeting, trying to make sure, they don't spend what they don't have. But the one at the end is getting paid, is being short every time they go cash a check. So, I mean, I don't understand. I had an ex-police officer say that she had a big argument, but that must have been like about 10 years ago now, in one of the banks, and she told them plain straight that nobody not taking no money out of her account, because she was paid by a check, and the person that choose to pay her by check, taking out their money, they won't take fees, because that's their customer. She's not their customer. She's only cashing a check that the person did not want to give her cash. And she don't think it is fair for her now to turn around and pay the fee to take a loss from her money. And she told the guy that whenever he is paying, he makes sure he include that $10 so that he can make sure that she get her correct amount of money, and he should take the loss, because he's the one that got a service with the customer, with the bank.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, caller.
To me, she raises very good questions. That's a typical example, I think, of what the average person experiences in dealing with our banks locally. But I just want to go back quickly, because in interest of the transparency and the clarity here, part of the reasons why I do pay such hefty fees is the fact that I am a politically exposed person, a PEP.
Okay. Yes.
And that of it necessity means that there's a higher level of monitoring of transactions and my business. So, I mean, I'm sure my colleague here as well experiences the same thing as well. So I just want to put that on record.
Wouldn't more of that have come at the vetting stage rather than have to do it with every transaction?
It is. I think it goes back to what I said when I made my first intervention here at OC, is that banks now seem to be charging for every interaction that they have with their customers. And, you know, many tell me they just feel like they're being fleeced. Mm-hmm. And so I think they need to really take a step back and take a real look at this and look at how they are charging. And as she mentioned, the potential there for double charging and stuff, that's to me shouldn't be the case. And so...
Yeah. We've certainly gone away from what banking used to be, and we have instances as well. Was just reminded that, where banks used to make money and cambios used to make money on exchanges of currency. When you buy U.S. cash at the bank here now, you are paying a premium for that, and then you pay a standard 1.5% fee on top of that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's, they're trading, buying it at one price, selling it at another for profit, and then charging you a percentage fee to transfer that or to purchase the money. So it's a lot of things that it seems as if that the banks have changed their business model towards making money on fees versus making money on interest rates, etc., as the model previously was. And then there's a lot of cases, and I think they're blaming this one on AML and the anti-terrorist financing and stuff. But I've been written to by several people that had local businesses and local accounts that the bank closed their accounts, wrote to them and say that you no longer fit our model, and closed their account and invited them to go to another bank. So it's, the whole system seems to be changing, and we're certainly going away from your local community bank feeling that we used to have when we banked with an institution. So
now, and I know the conversation is sort of tilted to one side in terms of the consumer, but are there legitimate concerns that the financial institutions have, as well, in terms of being drawn over the coal or running the risk of, heavy fines from international institutions, as well? So are they being overly cautious?
I think even banks, insurance companies, some other industries are being overly cautious and are just, removing the onus from them having to, do due diligence and identifying who are or what is a high-risk person or transaction, and have moved to applying the same set of conditions and same level of due diligence on everyone. This in itself created an issue when we're talking about when we're being audited by the Financial Action, the Caribbean Financial Task Force. They're saying, well, your insurance companies, your banks have identified all of these high-risk people, but you have no convictions, you have no investigations, So that in itself causes problems where if you just simply go in and everybody says, oh, this is what Monetary Authority requires. When you go to Monetary Authority, they say, we don't require that. We told them if you suspect, or if the transaction seems out of place, or you have cause for concern, or it's not a normal everyday transaction, then you need to do that additional due diligence. But I think a lot of industries and a lot of institutions have just decided, let's be safe and apply the due diligence requirements across the board on everyone. But again, like I said, that actually brings its own set of issues when we're being audited.
Okay. Good time for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. This year, a new rule was placed on fishing for grouper that says no one can fish for nass or grouper anywhere in Cayman from December 1st to April 30th while they're spawning. There is also no fishing allowed at all for any kinds of fish in the spawning zones, and no scuba diving there either. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my daddy taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. It's my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hew as well. And just want to remind our audience that they will be leaving us at around about 9:30 because they have other commitments this morning as well. We do have a few callers. We're going to try to grab those as well. We're trying to mix the callers in with the conversation, so we're asking everyone to please be as brief as possible. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. Good morning, Honourable Leader of the Opposition and Deputy Leader.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm not sure because I tuned in kind of late. I wasn't sure if you covered this, but I know you guys are talking about the banking fees. One of the things, some people would be, well, why don't they just deposit these checks into their account? I don't understand why it takes 3 days for a local check to clear in a bank account. You know, that would be an easy option where you could go and you could just deposit it in your account, and you'd know at least by the end of that business day the money would be available to you, which is why some people have to go and try and get it and cash it at the person that wrote it at their bank and then picking up a fee. The other thing that I noticed has changed now for several years was before, if you had a government-issued check, you could go, even if you didn't go to Royal Bank and cash it and you didn't have to pay a fee, you could go deposit that into your account and that money was available to you right away. Now with government checks, it's that they also take 3 days to clear into your account. The only place that you can go with a government check and get it cashed same time, get the money same time, is credit union, and that's if you got an account with credit union. You know, and I think that's really, I don't understand why local checks, international checks, I can understand because you got to go through the clearinghouse to make sure those funds are there. But a local check really should not have to take 3 days to be cleared within your bank.
Okay, thank you.
I think she makes a good observation there. I didn't know that was still the practice within the industry in Cayman, because I know that the banks now have an electronic clearing system. Checks, interbank checks should clear in 1 day. There's no reason why it can't be the case. We don't have that manual system anymore where, somebody for all the banks got together one morning at somebody's boardroom and did the clearance system. It took them 3-4 hours to get it done, then go back and post the transactions. It's all done electronically. You can send and receive money electronically, everything. So, I don't know, unless I'm missing something, I don't know what impediment there should be to checks clear, taking 3 days to clear.
Well, last week, one financial institution told me 2 days, for it to clear. So
to me, that's still too long.
Yeah,
if you got an electronic system, it should be.
Yep. Can we grab another caller? Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to the leader and deputy leader of the...
Good morning, sir.
And the pick of banking, that you guys would suggest legislation because this issue seems to be not synonymous with just alone, but it seems as if the rest of the Caribbean is experiencing the same thing as well.
Yes.
An article that I am looking at now from quoting Barbados Prime Minister saying that the banks are watching people's money. And if they don't make changes, she would legislate. And I think, that's what we have our government in place for. So if something is going wrong, the legislators legislate some measures in place to curb that trend. And it is ridiculous. The amount of zeros in front of the point and your interest rate as against the fees. I think something definitely needs to be done with it, and I guess it has to come from our legislators. Give SEMA the teeth that they need to bite into this trend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, caller, for that. Let's grab the last caller for this section. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I agree with what a caller just said about the checks because I've had problem with that from last year when the PPM were ruling. I called in about the check cashing because I get checks for my kids from a certain insurance, and they were charging me $10 for each check, which is $20 because it's two different checks. And I asked that because I asked the person at the insurance why, and she said, well, she don't understand because they pays for every check. The government ever check that they rate, and I said, well, exactly. They're charging on it, then they're getting double jeopardy. Then another thing that I cursed them out at the bank, and I told them that was the last they would get from me because I would deposit it in me and my daughter account. But then there's another thing, like she said, 3 days. Suppose you need the money to buy bread and cheese, and 3 days it could be there. Why is it a local check? Why not 1 day? Or at least by the next day. And it's so much frustration. And then also, certain banks, one we used to charge $1, then they went 5, now they're going 10. $10 is too small to pay the food that's for a person. And me and the Jordanian went on about that from last year, and they told us it was FEMA. I said, well, somebody can address them. I don't care if it was FEMA or FEMA. That's a poor excuse. But only in the Cayman Islands, certain things can go on. And I live in here, and I love it to death, but years ago, everything was much better. They say, improvement, because like one person say their children don't want to eat no more, slug no more, which is a student. Now they walk on plates, they want this, well, to me, that's what messing us up. So much improvement and so much whatever. So I tell them, I hope I didn't get no check because I want to take my money out. And another thing, you have US in the bank. That's your money. And now you go to the bank to draw it, and they're charging you a fee, and I tell them, I say, I'm paying that. I'm going to the ATM. They say, well, Mom, it's the same thing. I get in charge for the ATM. I say, well, like my mother say, you can't win for losing.
Okay, thank you very much, caller, for that. Miss Susan, you say we have one more online? Okay, we can close it off after that. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. Morning.
Morning.
Yeah, Mr. C gave it to me last week. Wrap it up now.
Sure.
Early on, I heard on previous but one was a decade.
Yes.
No, but the present one, she done stamped this about 3 decades. And 2062. All right. when I talk about this morning about this in our opposition, right, in the deputy, right, you know, you can't man, right, in the fiduciary, we always change it and everything, part, right. I talk this too much yesterday, you know, my pitch, power language, I talking this morning now. But the came man now, we all on the grey list, vice versa. You see, and we all rectified, and it's replaced, okay? All right. Hold on.
Sure. Go.
Yeah, I see the
That's much better. Yeah.
Yeah, different. Obviously, came on. No, we always rectified the grey list, right? We always was, always been, okay? In places like the U.S. continent, the Delaware, right? They're more havoc, right? In the European country like Luxembourg, but came on. No, we the right channel, the right lane. You got on, bro? And obviously, the opposition and the deputy, obviously, on the shadow government, right? The mirror line. So, obviously, under more experience. So, I hope this government now to clarify this stuff in international affairs. You see where I come from?
Got you.
Okay. Take care, man.
Thank you very much,
Right.
Rambo. Take care. Okay, gentlemen.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that caller just in particular just raised some good points. But I do believe that, and certainly we would support any efforts made to look into some of the practices of the local institutions. We had regular meetings with them as a government. We tried to address these as a leader said. The check cashing, they had suspended it for 3 months, but I think as the other caller said, when it returned, not only was it one or two banks, all the other banks joined in and raised it. but we certainly would support any efforts to at a minimum have dialogue with the financial institutions and perhaps support some sort of review by SEMA on the fees and the practices of the local institutions.
And that's what I would say. I mean, and it's not necessarily in defense of the banking industry, but I know where they're trying to get to, and that is they're trying to drive all of their business online. And so that every transfers, payments, everything is done without drawing a check or anything else. But the reality is there's a very significant element of our population who don't have bank accounts. And I will just say this in my opinion, they never will have bank accounts. And so there has to be a way to allow these people to have the benefits or to access the banking system.
Yes.
And they're going to, we can't lock it out, completely for the sake of, it's because it's too costly to do it. Because I know that's a big issue. That's what they will say. It's a cost of doing it and having a telecounter staffed by staff. Yes, I know that's a cost, but it's been there from day one of the banking system, and you've seen now that element of that segment of our economy, of our country, still need access to the financial industry or to the banking system in order for themselves to live and to function. Many of them, they just live. They live off of the cash they have, but it's a check that they receive from an employer that they take to the bank and cash. And my view is no bank should be charging to clear a government check.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that check is good. No question.
At least here in the Cayman Islands,
it is.
Yeah. And I don't see where there should be any questions in relation to the Cayman Islands government itself, the government financial system being used for money laundering. If that is their concern, I don't see where, if they know what the processes and procedures as far as the government is concerned, and the government is their client in most instances. Yeah. So what would be the concerns?
Yeah, I really don't see it either when it comes to the government and to their business dealings. But again, I'm not driving the EU or the FATF or any other FATF or any other organization in terms of what they do.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, over the years, and I mean, I talk to people in industry locally, particularly or local service providers, and they will tell you, Cayman is one of the hardest places in the world right now to open a bank account, especially, you know, where for investors coming in and seeking to establish themselves and get a bank account, it takes them months, in some cases, to get all the due diligence done and in order. I've heard some stories anecdotally about the length of time. It's horrifying.
Yeah,
it's horrifying.
One of our listeners,
I can walk into a bank in the U.S. right now, and in 10 minutes I can open a bank account.
Yep. One of our listeners says, OC on matters around banking, the middle to lower sector of the tourism sector is significantly disadvantaged, even as they require U.S. dollar accounts, seeing that 98% of business is conducted in U.S. dollar accounts when it comes to tourism. Goes on to say the banks now extort a percentage of fees from you at each time you attempt to withdraw from your account. It truly appears that on entering a bank, we need to hold our hands in the air as we feel like we're being held up on entry. That's interesting. Folks, top of the hour, headline news at 9 o'clock. Half an hour left for my guests to remain in the studio, so we're going to close the phone lines off so that they can cover areas that they want to cover and discuss as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after headline news.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government reported 579 new cases of COVID-19 for the 3-day period of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Active cases and hospitalizations for Grand Cayman have not yet been released but are expected later today. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has accused the U.S. of trying to draw his country into a war with Ukraine. He said America's goal was to use a confrontation as a pretext to impose more sanctions on Russia. Mr. Putin also said the U.S. was ignoring Russia's concerns about the European expansion of NATO, the Western military alliance. The U.S. and his allies accuse Russia of planning to invade Ukraine, something Russia has repeatedly denied. And tensions are rising at one of the U.S.-Canada border's busiest ports of entry over a vehicle blockade that has halted traffic and disrupted services. The demonstration is tied to the ongoing nationwide Freedom Convoy protests over Canada's new restrictions on unvaccinated cross-border truckers. Some motorists and local residents have reportedly been stuck in standstill since the protests began on Saturday. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Alberta said the event was unlawful. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hew. Over to you, Mr. McTaggart.
Yeah, thank you, OC. Going back now to the original topic of discussion that we began this show with this morning, with that is the government's now proposed $400 million 30-year bond. It's become increasingly clear that they are seriously considering a bond issue. But I think some of the things that we lack a lot of clarity on right now, in particularly, is the overall purpose. It hasn't been articulated completely, and we have seen bits and pieces of what it might be used for, but nothing really concrete. So I would ask the question: what really is the purpose of it? Is this an additional borrowing in additional borrowing separate from the line of credit that now exists? Is it a replacement for it completely, or is it a combination of both? We just don't know how it is going to be used. We have seen the government talk about it using it for capital projects. they have talked about having it some being used for some being used. They've talked about doing reverse mortgages. They're talking about building new homes for lower income housing as well, and also exploring the possibility of underwriting loans greater than 30 years to give young people an opportunity to access loans where it make the monthly repayment more affordable. All, noble, social type programs that one really might not argue with. The issue of reverse mortgages does cause me some angst or concern simply because of what a reverse mortgage is. Not carefully handled, it can really bite you.
Yeah.
And I urge caution. One, I would say commercial banks typically do not get involved in these. Governments generally don't get involved in these sorts of things as well. It's normally left up to the finance houses, those with the specialist expertise, because those types of agreements and loans, financings are more complex, and it needs.
And when they're entered into for the sole purpose of making a profit, whether or not it is at the end of the person's lifetime or wherever.
Yeah.
But that's what those reverse mortgages are entered into as a profit. For the person who engages in it.
They're not doing it for free.
Yeah. One of our listeners wanted to know that if you object to the 30-year bond, what would the Progressive Party do now to benefit from the lower interest rates before those rates increase?
Well, what I would say, I think we probably have already missed that boat because of the U.S. actually signaling that rates are rising. But we put it in place the line of credit that we could borrow if and when we need it. It was an insurance policy. Is an insurance policy.
And the rate was determined then.
It was fixed, and I mean it was fixed at that point in time, and by every account, it was a very favorable rate for the government. I don't like the use of the type of instrument that they are looking to do, and that is a fixed term bond of 30 years. I would seek the more traditional type of financing that is certain and allows for the repayment of the loan and the principal over the life, whether it's 10, 15, 20 years, or even if the banks are willing to go to 30 years, if that's necessary. I don't think it is. So I think that is how I would structure it, because it gives certainty to government, and we don't face the situation that we have right now, OC, in that we had a 10-year bullet bond that expired, that matured in 2019, and we could only pay off one half of it. I had to refinance the other half, and that's over a 15-year period. So we borrowed in 2009, was it 312 million? So it doesn't get finished being paid until 2034. So it's 25 years before we finally pay off everything on that bond.
And that is when we talk about governments committing future governments. And we talked about committing future generations. The only way to deal with that sort of instrument is for each government coming in to start to do a sinking fund and to start putting money aside. But each government that comes in is going to want to drive their own policies and drive their ambitions. They're not thinking about the next government or 4 governments down the road, or this government is not thinking about any of them being in power in 30 years' time to deal with this bond when it matures. That is a real issue.
Yeah, because it's somebody else's problem.
It's somebody else's problem, and that's kicking it down the road. And then what it does for them is it provides them with instant cash that they can go on a spending spree. And this is, and we are still not, as the leader said earlier, we don't know if this is an addition to the already borrowed $350 million. Is this going to take us up to almost $1 billion in borrowing? Is this over and above what they had passed in the budget in November for spending? Because they're talking about new line items here. They're talking about new new policy projects that they would like to achieve. So this indicates to me that this is additional borrowing. And so we're talking about then almost $1 billion in borrowing that this country will have to pay back at some point. And you can kick the can 30 years down the road so you can achieve your projects during your term. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the crux of the matter. I think the issue we have here is that because we were almost 1 year into this government, and we still, nobody has a clear, they keep saying, they have coined the phrase people's government, people's budget. So there's a lot of chatter, but we haven't seen anything yet. We hear a lot of rumors. Everybody in the street hears the rumors. We hear the rumors of discord and struggles. We have a feeling, and we've said it publicly before, that this budget represents a government that everyone have just received their wish list. There was no compromise. There was no strategy to say what will benefit, what is most important to the country, what can we afford, and how do we pay for it down the road. It is basically a budget that every minister, every person that came in the door said, I want this, and they're getting it. Because there is no strategy. They were not aligned in what their goals and what their priorities were or are, and they're having struggles with it. You even read, and an evidence of that, OC, is the recent appointment of, and if you read the CNS article, the headline says, ex-DART exec gets top job in Premier's office. What I found interesting was you go to the last paragraph, and it says, a qualified and competent professional, we agree all there, Bush is likely to bring a welcome shake-up to the government, which has been criticized for the evident policy clashes across ministries, especially between the Premier's own climate resilience and sustainability portfolio with the planning ministry. So here you have the press recognizing and identifying what they're calling the evident policy clashes. And this is why we're where we are. This is why 1 year later we have seen nothing. This is why 1 year later all they're talking about is borrowing more money. And they have a much bigger budget than we ever had. And they're going to add to that.
Honestly, the thing that scares me too, I mean, they're all looking at doing all of this in this first 2 years. Yeah. So their second budget, I'm saying, what's next? What's coming? I mean, that's the way I think. I mean, they've got 4 years to accomplish what they want to accomplish. They ought to prioritize things, to take them out over the 4 years. Things can be managed so we don't have to go down this road of a 30-year debt.
We were criticized for not having a set schedule of Parliament. This is one of the things they said. They were going to send out a schedule right away so we can all work around that. And all we have been to Parliament for is Finance Committee. It's Finance Committee, Finance Committee, Finance Committee. We're almost 1 year. This is February. Elections were March.
Yeah.
April.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 10 months on. Just weeks short of 1 year in their term, and they're still trying to figure out how to find enough money to be able to come to an agreement as a government as to what their strategies are, what their priorities are, and where the spending and where the revenue is going to come from.
So there has been no indication whatsoever yet in terms of when Parliament is likely to convene again, and any indications there?
Well, to be honest, we are meeting, Parliament will meet on Sunday, but I think that for limited purpose, it's a special meeting of Parliament to commence the celebrations of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
Yes.
Yep. And so I understand that there is one piece of business that will be conducted there, and it all revolves around the Platinum Jubilee. But beyond that, Rosie, there's nothing. No idea when next Parliament will meet.
Okay. We even the issues that were top of the agenda for majority of the government, such as the landfill. I walked by there again this morning. It is not being layered. It is not being compacted and layered. And it is just people, you can just see the trucks coming in and dumping any and everything anywhere. Mm-hmm. There will be another fire. With all of this rain, and there's rain to come this weekend, the leaching is going to continue you can see the black stuff at the bottom, at the foot of the landfill. Without it being compacted, without it being layered with material and compacted, you are allowing gases to build up in there. Every time it rains, or each time the fire truck has to come and out a fire, you're getting leaching. And on top of that, of course, you run the risk of these pocket fires or a major fire like we've had before. Mm-hmm. They have gone completely away from good best practice at the landfill. On this new piece of landfill that was supposed to be temporary for 5 years, that's if it was managed properly. Because I mentioned the last time, the key to landfill is elevation. So you want to compact that at every given chance and cap it and compact and cap and compact. And it should be done. International standard is every 24 hours. Mm-hmm. It doesn't appear to be happening at all. We look at things like the subsea cable. We haven't heard a word about that. The National Development Plan. This was a key issue. We were ready to go. Our government was ready to go to public consultation on the Plan Cayman document. We haven't heard anything. It's a year later.
Now, if we can go back to the landfill, and while I said I wouldn't discuss the report itself, in the Auditor General's report, mm-hmm. she does mention, the signing of that agreement, and pointed out that while parts of it was signed, there were things to be done afterwards. So, do we know where we're at with that? Is that at a standstill as far as the negotiations with DART to?
As far as we understand it, nothing else has happened.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to take our last commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Radio Cayman News announces the Cardinal Avenue Enhancement Project, the pedestrianization of key streets in Georgetown.
Create opportunities for increased activity by locals and tourists in our capital.
Today's groundbreaking for Health City Camana Bay celebrates the continued expansion of healthcare.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning with the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Roy McTaggart, and Deputy Leader, Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hew. One of our listeners also wrote and wanted to know whether or not there is an opportunity to establish a know your customer centralized data repository where the banks could all access with strict confidentiality and for a fee to get customers' information. This would avoid each bank or financial institution asking clients to produce the duplicate information constantly. That's a novel idea and something that was
It is a novel idea, but I see potentially some some challenges with it, though it might not necessarily mean it would, that they are insurmountable. But I think, to develop and have this central repository of KYC documentation, it would come at a not insignificant cost. And question is then who pays for that? Who pays for it? So that's one issue. You also would have issues, I think, with to challenges with regard to unauthorized access of a person's private information, like God forbid, but maybe someone in one
all
bank
sort of firewalls and stuff like that,
and looking, absolutely, with it. Every bank, I mean, there are. Every bank is responsible for, complying their own compliance with the laws, and I think there would be some exposure there to the banks by relying on some centralized, completely on some centralized process. Because, when you look at KYC information, they in terms of their interaction with clients or prospective clients, there's invariably going to be other stuff that they would require. And does that end up in the centralized repository because one bank requires it? Entity is potentially problematic as well. So I think I've never thought of that, but it does bear further, I think, discussion whether that is possible. But I do see impediments to successful operating of it. And question is, where that centralized repository is, where there are shortcomings in information that is there, and someone has relied upon it, who's going to bear the consequences of that lapse in the due diligence? Those are all things that I think have to be considered. I'm sure there would be others as well.
Before we get to your closing comments and then anything else, another person was curious about the need for IDs and 2 IDs, and now some institutions are not accepting a voter's registration card and things of that nature as well. Some people have had problems with that and asking about the need for 2 IDs. Again, question is it overkill?
Yeah. Again, I think it goes back to where the banks just simply decided to, and other institutions decided to take the cautious route and go for the maximum due diligence required for anyone, so just to cover their bases. But again, raises another important project, OC, and that is the National ID program. Right, which would widely, or which would certainly remove a lot of these requests for things such as the utility statements and 2 IDs and proof of Cayman and all that stuff. Our national ID program would address all of these issues, and again we understood that was moving forward, but we have not heard or seen anything of that over the last 6 months, and that is a project that we left in a position to just move forward as quickly as possible. I think we could have been up and running. The schedule had us somewhere in the late summer. So, and the budgeting was there as well. So, again, another project that we understood was moving forward, and one that I think was widely anticipated and the country looking forward to. We have heard nothing on it.
Yeah, and I think it's important. It's unfortunate that they won't accept a voter registration card, because we certainly were advised that ought to be concrete proof of your nationality and of your. I mean,
that would be the gold standard.
Absolutely.
Because you don't get to vote in the Cayman Islands unless you fulfill certain criteria, very important criteria.
Which if you have a voter's ID card, certainly confirms that you live here in the Cayman Islands. One of the issues might be with the voter's ID card. Does it have an expiry date?
No, I'm not aware that it does.
I don't think so either. I think we
right
now. I know when we were there, we sort of we had it for a while, and then we were reluctant to have an expiry date on there. If there were any changes in details, the person could come, have those changes made, and then replace the voter registration card. But
how do you revoke them?
You revoke them when because it would be the registering officer who determines whether or not you still remain on that register. Either if you decease, they will remove you if they deem that you're no longer residing at in that electoral district or whatever.
If you lost your status.
Yes, or whatever. So
yeah, but then if using it for ID, for due diligence.
How do you retrieve it if you revoked it?
Okay. If it doesn't have an expiry date.
Yeah, no, and I can say, looking at mine here, no, it doesn't have an expiry date on it.
So I'm just saying that may be a due diligence issue.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Could possibly be as well. Yeah. But those financial institutions, we see a lot of the burden now being placed on the customer.
Absolutely.
But without calling the names of any financial institutions, a lot of them found themselves in the pickle that they were in because of their own lax things, and with some things happening right inside their own institutions by their own employees, and now the general public is having to pay the price for that.
Yeah, I know of at least one institution that is moving their due diligence online, similar to what the government did with the public interest register of public interest, that they're moving it online. So because it was very frustrating that you fill out all of these forms and you submitted them, and then 1 year later they want you to fill the same forms out again, and there was no and everyone knows that it just goes into a vault or under a desk somewhere until they need it again. But yeah, I do know of at least one bank that's moving to an online platform, which is fantastic and makes the job a lot easier. Makes the process a lot easier.
Okay. Closing comments?
Just from my perspective, really, to thank you again to OC for hosting us this morning. So we have to cut things off a little bit short this morning, but we'll be back again hopefully next week after, and continue the chat on probably other topics of interest and that are current in the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm. It just dawned on me that COVID didn't even come up as a topic for us today, but yet there are still a lot of people struggling to manage life with COVID at the rampant rate of the transmissions right now, and a lot of businesses are struggling with maintaining staff levels and opening hours, etc. So again, we've heard less from the government on this, but at least we have seen some progress being made. I saw a lot of representation I received, even from a member, Moses Kakano, the former deputy premier, on the effects of the regulations have had on the sister islands. I think the big issue there is the need for the PCR test to return to Grand Cayman. They saw a tremendous amount of cancellations. There was an article in the paper, one of the bicycle rental companies. I know a lot of the Airbnb, a lot of the accommodation places saw a tremendous amount of cancellations because of that policy. I think no one had an issue with taking an LFT or PCR test to go to the Caymanbrac or Little Cayman and Sister Islands. But the issue is that if you test positive on the way back, you're stuck over there and you can't get back home. So that created a huge issue for what was a lifeline for them. Staycations by people from Grand Cayman over to the Sister Islands has created some issues. So hopefully there is a plan, and they're monitoring the levels to see when we can return to some sort of normalcy, or whether or not they believe that there may be another uptick in transmission locally. I don't know. I would feel terrible leaving here today without recognizing those persons who are still struggling with COVID in the community and maintaining some sort of normalcy, and the issues that the Sister Islands economy has faced as a part of it.
Okay. One of our listeners talking about the centralized Know Your Customer, and they said that it could be combined with the national ID and a centralized unit for vetting documents, even for overseas licensees, such as professional and trade designation. So we've got one more vote for the centralized know Your Customer situation as well.
No, that would certainly, the National ID program, once that platform has been launched, it would be very easy for the private sector to then build on to that. And I know that Cayman Finance certainly have been in contact with e-government, and we're looking forward to launching their platform for various due diligence requirements as well. So it certainly would be an opportunity.
Yeah. Okay, well, Jackman, I want to thank you very much. Sorry that you had to cut it short, but we do understand. We will look for your press release that will be coming out in relation to, I think you say you'll be addressing
a statement that's coming out.
A statement that's coming out as well. We will look forward to that. And maybe, hopefully, the next time we might be able to discuss the Auditor General's report, depending on what happens, as far as the Governor and the Deputy Governor's office is concerned. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly. We will be reopening the phone lines. The Leader of the Opposition and the Deputy Leader, they will be leaving us at this point in time. But I will be here, so you can give it your best shot. Pat me when we return. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Due to the high number of COVID cases in the community, Water Authority Cayman is encouraging customers to conduct as much business as possible online or over the phone and avoid coming into the office. Need to pay a bill? You can do it online. Just visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, and click on the Pay My Bill button. Are you experiencing service issues? Contact our customer service team via the phone on 949-2837 or email info@waterauthority.ky. Don't forget to practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently with soap and water. For updates from the Water Authority, visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, and our social media pages.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We do have a caller, but before we go to that caller, I just want to read something another message that was sent in, and this writer states, the issues that you've been discussing are consumer protection issues, and we're talking about the banking services and stuff and the person says that their understanding has been that the Cayman Islands monetary authorities' remit is limited to the integrity and probity of the banks to ensure that they don't go belly up. It does not include consumer protection. Many jurisdictions have a consumer protection entity that deals with that area specifically. Unfortunately, governments have always rejected private members' motions calling for the establishment of such an entity. Such an agency wouldn't just deal with banking, but insurance, health, and property utilities, etc. And that's a very valid point, and I want to thank that listener for sharing that with us as well. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning, O.C.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I guess I'm doing all right. I guess I have to repeat myself again. As a Caymanian, O.C., I'm very, very concerned of where this country is going. And, you know, anybody that listens to the talk show or watch the news with what is happening in the United States and the world, they have to be seriously concerned about what is happening here. I mean, you know, I look at our politicians, you know, I don't know if most of the arguments that I hear nowadays is politics. I mean, you tell me different from what I'm saying if I make no sense at all. It doesn't seem like it's politics anymore, because I can go back a long time ago when the Mango 3 days, the Belford Ryan bar, that I used to kind of like go in and, you know, just chill out for a while. I was never a drinker. If I have 2 beers now, I want to go sleep. And, you know, I would listen to the assembly in their session sometime, and them guys are going after each other throats. And then when I see them at Mango Tree or up in Belford Ryan Bar, I say, you guys wanted to kill each other up in the Legislative Assembly building today. And they would always say to me, especially with Kurt, and you know how Kurt is, and them guys would say, look, Arden, number one, Arden would say to me, say, Thompson, whatever we discuss in that Legislative Assembly, it's all about politics. But as soon as that door closed behind us, that is left right there. That is not what is happening anymore, O.C., because this is where my concern are. To me, it's not politics anymore. I am sorry, but it's like more, I don't know whether it's jealousy or hate. I don't know what it is. And if this country...
So what gives you that impression? Is it because you have members of the opposition or their supporters making public statements or using public platforms to criticize the government or to criticize each other?
Well, see, that's why I said to you, I don't know if it's politics anymore or it's hate, but I don't like to hear, and I would have said that if they're in the government, I wouldn't like to hear the other government downgrading them and saying things the way that they are saying about the present government.
But why not? As long as it's not defamatory, it can be constructive, what we deem to be constructive criticism. But would you prefer to have a political system whereby you only hear the voice of the people who are in charge and you don't hear the voice of others? Okay. Case in point, Barbados. 30 seats, one party controls all 30 seats. What the Prime Minister of Barbados has said is that she's going to be her own opposition to a certain extent. There's no opposition there, but you have to at times question even what you do. I believe as long as we agree to disagree and we're not disagreeable in doing that, that is fine. That it's a healthy democracy when you have that.
Well, see, I personally do not care about those other countries that you're naming to me, right? And I think I made myself clear. You correct me if you think it's politics or it's jealousy or hate. If it was politics like it used to be, I have no issues, but I am not getting that anymore from politicians. It's more than that. It's not politics anymore. So that is why I'm to wear this morning with you on the show. Yeah. Because it's what I'm hearing, and it's just not right. I know how politics are. I know that, you know, it can be smooth sailing and this and that and hugging and everything else. But I mean, what I'm hearing doesn't sound positive to me.
But tell me what you're hearing. What is it you're hearing?
It was just some of the arguments about the dump and the this and the that, and the banks. And I mean, if you were there, right, and you were in politics and you were in a position, you're supposed to be, the reason you are elected is supposed to be to look into the future, not your pockets. You look into the future and say, well, you know what? Here is where we need to be in 5 years from now. Because it's like, to me, if I'm building a house, I need to know where I am at each day of that project that I'm doing. And the politicians should have more foresight and be able to look into the future, whether it's 5 years or 10 years down the road, and say, this is what we need to put in place for the future of this country, because looking at the rest of the world and learning from them and making sure that we don't make the same mistakes that they are making, that carry them down that road. I mean,
in many instances, they are doing that, but the question is, how do we go about doing it? Some may have their plans in terms of we do it this way, and some may want to head in another direction to achieve the same results, but take a different path to doing it.
Well, so you think I can take a contract from a owner to build a house, and I give them 4 years to build a house, and when 4 years come, I go back to them and say, look, I need another 4 years to finish this house. You think that's acceptable?
Depends on the circumstance. Depends on the circumstance. But bear in mind that when it comes to politics and when it comes to social conditions, we are never, ever going to reach finality, the final point where everything is good. There's always going to be something coming up. There's always going to be work to be done. 10 years ago when we were building roads, we thought we had everything solved, everything under control. Where are we today? We're being pressed, for more roads because more cars are on the roads. Cars are more affordable. It is always a moving target, And we can plan for 10 years down the line, and when we get to 10 years down the line, there's something else on the horizon that we have to deal with. It's an ongoing struggle.
Oh, see, we simply have a bunch of people that don't have no foresight, right? And we have a lot of people that is in charge of positions in this country that should not be in these positions. And right now, the remarks I'm making is because every time I drive around one of those roundabouts, whoever designed those should have been put out without clothes one good night when the mosquitoes are good and tick, because it's no way in the world. And if those roundabouts are not changed, every time you turn around, there will be accident. These are things that you need to be able to have people with knowledge, experience, to know what works and what does not work. But we have people that only guessing most of the time, well, this is how it should be. No, it doesn't work like that, right? If you hire me to do a job, I must be qualified in every aspects of that business that job was given to me for. And if not,
most of our politicians would fall flat on their faces in that case, because in many instances they're politicians, but that's all they are.
Learn on the job, right? It's not a case where it's not something where you can go and learn on the job. That happens in other fields, but not as a politician. You're supposed to be a veteran. You're supposed to have experience. And this is why I always say that civil servants would make the best politicians possible, because they know the in and outs. I'm not telling you now that they can do a lot better than what the other person that is coming in there to learn the ropes as you go along. I mean, they might be looking out for different interests and this and that also. But it's like, damn if you don't, damn if you don't. But, see, I'm just concerned, really. I just wish our politicians would, I would hate to go into that assembly building and just look at the expression and see how the people react. And I bet you right now, You got one party on one side and the other party on the other side, and they're not even having a thing to say to each other. They probably got their heads hold down. I don't know.
Well, any politician that takes things personally, unless you always say, you keep if you're a politician, your opposition, to keep the family, keep your children out of the conversation. Those things shouldn't be mentioned. But any politician who can't take criticism in terms of the job that they're doing or the job that they're not doing, the policies that they're implementing or not implementing, they don't need to be in politics. You have to have broad shoulders.
I totally agree with that, O.C. I couldn't agree with you more. And I just want our people to just make sure that we don't make the same mistakes that all of the other countries. And I don't want to hear, like I said, I'm not interested in what other countries are doing and what they're not doing, because I know they're all gone to it, and we don't want to go down that road.
Well, we have a good thing going here. We don't. People are not marching out and breaking down the doors of our parliament and breaking through the windows. We don't have policemen having to shoot intruders and stuff like that. We're in a good place. We're in a good place. There is a smooth transition from one government to the next every 4 years when we have elections. So we're in a good place.
See, that is my point. Do not wait till it starts to happen before it's addressed, right? Because then when it happens, you can say, well, it's too late.
Mm-hmm. Well, when it usually happens is when those politicians get out there and start to incite people on the street, and those people in the street are being swayed by emotions more than anything else. That's where the problem ends up. Caller, I want to thank you very much for that. We've got to go to a commercial break. Thanks very much for the conversation. Very interesting. Got some feedback from some of our listeners in terms of your viewpoint, and there are some who agree with you as well. Thank you very much, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have about 13 minutes left in the show this morning. Now we can leave the lines open if we have callers. One of our listeners wrote and said, good morning. I think the Treasury Department should set up a check cashing counter at government administration to satisfy some of the, or to address some of the issues. This, of course, would be for those persons who have been issued government checks. I believe that the Cayman Islands government, like everyone else, is trying to get away from the handling of cash and everything. But again, not a bad idea, and maybe something the government will be hopefully looking at other alternatives. How do we solve this problem? Again, in reading what some other jurisdictions are encountering, I'm going to ask this, it's a rhetorical question. How many of you who have ATM cards are given any free access to the ATM machine before you actually are charged the fee? I was reading an article in the Jamaica Gleaner, and there's some financial institutions over there where they give their customers 3 or 4 accesses to the free access to ATM machines before they actually charge them. In the Cayman Islands, tell me how many of your financial institutions give you that sort of a perk. We have 2 callers. We're going to make those 2 callers the final calls for the morning. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. It's Quincy Brown.
Good morning, Quincy. Happy New Year to you. Good to hear your voice.
It's good to hear your voice as well, and I want to commend you on keeping your show balanced. You're always interviewing very lively guests, very informative, and I just want to commend you for that, Mr. Connor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, the last time I called, I was actually making a call from Jamaica, and it was on Jamaica's National Heroes Day back in October that I made the call to your show, so it's been a while.
Okay.
Yes, I enjoyed thoroughly your guest this morning. I listened carefully, and I think it's very important that when we say thank you to the government, and I oftentimes say thank you to the PAC administration for what they're doing. They haven't been in not even a year yet. It's more like 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
Want to thank them for policies already put in place. And in saying that, though, as I thank Tourism Minister Bryan, as I thank Culture Minister Bush, and of course our Premier Wayne Panton.
Yes.
For continuing with certain policies put in place, it would be remiss of me not to highlight the contributions of former ministers who are now opposition. I need to say thank you to persons like Moses Kakernel and Roy McTaggart, who put things in place, measures in place for displaced tourism workers. Now, we know this stipend cannot go on forever, but until persons who offer invaluable service in this country, services to tourism, services to culture, until we are back up and running fully, employed, whether it's a 9-to-5 or whether it's a contractual agreement to work, we are so dependent on that stipend. So thankful that the PAC administration sees fit to see it extended until March or April. We're very grateful for that. But again, we need to say thank you to the previous administration and also how they handled the COVID situation. PAC inherited sort of what was left, but in saying thank you to the government, I got to also say thank you to the opposition. And it's not taking sides, it's just speaking the truth.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So thank you for allowing me to say that. And I find myself on Cayman Brac today. I actually live in Prospect, but I am spending time on the Sister Islands. And over on Cayman Brac, the 2 issues that jump out at me this morning is how soon can the oil vessel, the oil tanker, be able to dock? Thank Cayman Brac Power and Light for keeping the public informed. We will not run out of fuel today.
They have said that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and also blasting, whether it's to make a company on Cayman Brac more richer. I mean, there's different ways to look at it. Some saying it's just capitalistic greed, but business must go on, and this company provides a lot of jobs for Brackers and others who've joined us. And if you're building, you need crushed rock, you need gravel. This company provides such. Now, a lot of it is being shipped to Grand Cayman. The concern is the loud blasting. If it's too close to homes being damaged, the velocity of the sound, and whether we have instruments to measure whether it's an illegal thing or an illegal thing. That's 2 issues on Cayman Brac this morning.
Okay, blasting, very quickly, I want to accommodate the other caller before we go off.
Right, so thank you. So that's what we're dealing with in Cayman Brac this morning, blasting in the quarry, and also whether or not this oil tanker will be able to land.
Thank you very much. Last caller for the show this morning. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. Just me.
Thank you. Just a quick question and then a comment. Is it right that some clinics in hospitals are charging to get the test done for the COVID?
Government has allowed that. Yes, the government has allowed them to charge, for that. I think it reached a certain point where government was doing things without charge, but now we're at a situation where a lot of the things that people want to do in relation to travel and things of that nature, they're voluntary as opposed to being a necessity. And as a result of that, government is charging a lower rate, a lower fee than what some private institutions out there are charging.
Right. I don't think that is fair to the general public, where they're from. If this pandemic is as serious as they claim it to be, I think things like that, to have a test, should be free, mandatory across the board, that no one should be able to charge, not about just the travelers and so on and so forth. No. If this must be a joke, because I think they should realize what's happening now. We want to get this thing harnessed into some sort of a radius that we can handle it. All medical personnel areas should be given this thing free of charge. So I can't agree with this at all, that people should be charged. Anyway, thank you so much, and have a good day, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, for that caller as well. Okay, I want to remind everyone that the celebration for the Queen's Jubilee, Platinum Jubilee, 70 years of service, having acceded to the throne on the 6th of February 1952, that we here in the Cayman Islands will be also joining in this celebration, and the government and the people of the Cayman Islands to recognize this historic occasion. So this coming Sunday, the 6th of February at 12:15 a.m., which marks the time and the day that the young Elizabeth was notified of the death of her father, King George VI, and the beginning of her 70-year reign as Queen of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. There's going to be a national moment of silence and bell ringing in recognition of this special anniversary. All radio stations in the Cayman Islands are being invited to participate in making this occasion by promoting this period of silence that is commencing at precisely 12:15 and continuing for 70 seconds in a show of respect and homage to the life of King George VI and the unparalleled dedication and service of Her Majesty the Queen. The general public is also being asked to pause their regular activities at 12:15 p.m. on Sunday the 6th of February to observe 70 seconds of silence in a mark of respect. Churches across the 3 Cayman Islands, those that have church bells, are also invited to participate in marking this occasion by ringing their bells, commencing at precisely 12:15 p.m. and continuing for 70 seconds. We want to point out that it is recognized that some congregations might be meeting at this time, and so the sounding will cause a slight interruption in their service, while in other cases, this sounding will require a special visit to the sanctuary for this purpose only. It is hoped that the historic significance of this unique occasion will be recognized, and all churches that can participate will do so with enthusiasm. There is also a special meeting of Parliament, and you heard the Leader of the Opposition mention that as well. So also on Sunday, 6th of February, there will be a special sitting at the House of Parliament marking the day on which Her Majesty the Queen acceded to the throne upon the death of her father. This will be broadcast live on CIG TV as well as on Radio Cayman, starting at 4:45 p.m. Parliament's program will include the inspection of an honor guard and royal salutes, the reading of a proclamation by His Excellency the Governor on the commencement of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and speeches by the Speaker, Premier, and Leader of the Opposition as well. So that's what will be happening on Sunday, the 6th of February, to start the celebration for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, marking 70 years reign of the Queen. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Drainey Banks at 12:15 for Talk today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza. Your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headline